Right.
Can we begin?
Yes, Maharaj, we can.
Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we went through chapter, we'll come back to chapter 13. Let's go on to chapter 14. We'll come back later to chapter 13. All right, chapter 14. We heard these three divisions. Krishna, first of all, Lord Krishna as the seed-giving father of all beings. Right? Lord Krishna said, Aham bija pradapita, that he is the seed-giving father of all living entities. So we want to understand that sense of brotherhood, or appreciating everyone as being of the one family. And we don't want to distinguish one person from another. All right, but the main subject of the chapter was the three modes of material nature. Indeed, the chapter is entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature. So we're looking at the different features of the modes. First of all, conditioning. Right? Now, generally we're happy to be in the mode of goodness, and we would like to think we're in the mode of goodness. But we're often influenced by the other modes. And it's mentioned within this chapter how there's always a struggle for supremacy among the modes. That sometimes the mode of goodness is prominent, and sometimes the mode of passion is prominent, and other times it's the mode of ignorance. And certainly there are many different factors which influence the modes of nature. I mentioned about living in the city. It's very much the mode of passion and ignorance. Srila Prabhupada didn't make a big distinction between the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance, because passion quickly leads to ignorance. But passion is something which it appears to be glamorous to people. And they even promote, we hear a lot about passion, and I was noticing one restaurant. This restaurant, they had written on the window of the restaurant, "Come and taste the passion." So passionate food, people somehow, some people are very much attracted to passionate food. And usually South Indian. When we come to India, devotees often have a problem with all the spicing. One devotee described it as oil and fire. the combination of oil and fire put into the cooking. A lot of oil and a lot of heat. Maybe a lot of chilies. People like a lot of chilies. They say passion. And it can be not only food, but cars also. There was this advertisement for a motor car. They said, feel the passion. When you're driving the car, you can feel the passion. You put your foot on the accelerator and the car speeds into the oblivion. And this is enjoyment for a lot of people. This is how they enjoy passion. But not so much, not in this chapter, but in another chapter, we'll read the result of the mode of passion. What is the result of the mode of passion? Do you know?
Misery.
Misery, distress, yes. Distress, usually we say, it says. The result of the mode of passion leads to distress. A lot of passion, People often have a lot of passion in their exchanges with the opposite sex. There can be a lot of passion there. And that passion often leads to distress. You have to be very careful in how you associate with the modes of nature. So, the modes of nature, very prominent. They're everywhere, in everything. The water you drink is influenced by the modes of nature. You go you go to work. You work in some place. There will be certain modes will be prominent there. So we have to learn how to deal with the modes of nature, and it's a constant challenge to us, all of us. How to transcend the material energy. Of course, that question comes up at the end of the chapter. Arjuna asks about the characteristics of one who is transcended. And then he asks, how can we actually transcend? And then Lord Krishna quotes a verse, Mam chayo vaya bicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samatityayakam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That if one takes up devotional service, if we engage in devotional service without falling down, then we come to the level of Brahman. Brahman means the transcendental platform. If we're not on the transcendental platform, then we're under the modes of nature, and we're controlled by the modes of nature. So the modes of different modes control us in different ways. We want to understand how these modes work. Then it can help us to become more conscious, to try to keep ourselves more closely connected to the mode of goodness. At the same time, we have to be careful about the mode of goodness, that we become attached to the mode of goodness. The attachment to the conditioning of the mode of goodness in itself is not good. right? And the mode of goodness means where people become very much attached to knowledge and happiness. We like to enjoy these two things. And so it's not wrong to want knowledge, and it's not wrong to want happiness. We also want happiness. But the problem comes if we're attached to these things. If we're attached to enjoying these things, then it's a problem. We get attached, and the result is we go more into the mode of passion. And then the mode of passion, then what is the nature of the conditioning in the mode of passion? It's intense activity with a lot of desires which are never fulfilled. You never get enough. You know, people do business. I was in Hong Kong some years ago. I was in Hong Kong and I was given the service to go and visit some of the wealthy Indian people there who do business. So I remember I went to this one man's office, and he was a wealthy man. He had a big watch factory there in Hong Kong. And if you see the passion which they have, well, at least it used to be, maybe it's changed a bit now, but this was some years ago. But it was so passionate, you know. People making watches, they were paid by how many watches they could assemble. So these Chinese people would be putting together the watches, and it would be so passionate. Oh my goodness, it was just unbelievable how they were putting these watches together. They wanted to do as many watches as they could to get the maximum money. Anyway, this man who was running this business, he had a lot of money, and he wasn't well. He just had a heart operation. He'd had a bypass. He was an elderly man, and he was on the phone, and I heard him talk. He said, "I have to talk to my bank manager." And he picked up the phone and he talked to the bank manager, and he said to the bank manager, "What do I have to do to make more money?" You know, this was his conditioning. He's so attached. He already had a lot of money, and he had very poor health, but all he could think was, how can I make more money? Another young man I met there in Hong Kong, he told me, he said, "I just made $1 million. He said, "I can't wait to make another million." So this is the nature of the mode of passion. Unlimited desires, more and more desire. And that mode of passion, it often leads to the mode of ignorance. Because in the mode of ignorance, then people will perform all kinds of sinful activities. You know, people have a lot of passion, passionate desires, and they get into the trap of sinful activities. They'll go to casinos and gamble. They'll go to nightclubs and take alcohol, and they want unlimited sex, and even go to prostitutes and like this, trying to enjoy. So this is the nature of the mode of ignorance, that people fall into darkness and they engage in all kinds of foolish activities. So it's difficult for people to understand that they're actually in the modes of nature. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the example is given about how Indra cursed Brihaspati one time. Maybe you know this story. Brihaspati was the guru of Indra, and Indra was offensive. So Brihaspati thought, I will teach you a lesson. And he cursed him to become a pig. So Indra had to take the body of a pig. And he was in the pig barn with all the pigs. So after some time, Brihaspati came to see Indra. And he said to Indra, he said, okay, you've been there long enough, now I want you to come back. I want you to go back to heaven, back to your position in the heavenly planets. But Indra, in the body of a pig, he said, no, I'm happy here. I like it here, I'm happy here. I have my pig family, I have all my pig wives and pig children, and every day the farmer's bringing us big buckets of food, and I can sleep all day and eat and sleep. So why I would live here? I'm happy here. So this is the nature of the modes of nature, the conditioning of the modes of nature, that we get into a particular mode, and we don't realize it's a mode of passion. We don't realize it's a mode of ignorance. We don't realize how much we're controlled by this material energy. So it's important for us to hear about the modes of nature and to understand how we can get free of the modes of nature. Because these modes of nature are definitely influencing us. Everywhere the modes of nature are there. And we have to be very conscious, very careful. Right? So, let's see. Prabhupada said, entanglement in the modes. Oh, I think I read this yesterday, right? Association with the modes of nature, the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now in this chapter, meaning 14th chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. So then we quote this verse from the 13th chapter, how the living entity gets entangled in the modes. Purusha and Prakriti. Remember, these two subjects were discussed in the 13th chapter. Purusha meaning the living entity, and Prakriti meaning the material nature. So, the living entity enjoys the material nature under the modes. Bhongte Prakriti Jan Gunan. The modes of nature. We think we're enjoying according to the influence of the modes. Somebody thinks they're enjoying the mode of goodness, somebody thinks they're enjoying the mode of ignorance. No, we're shocked, but they're happy. They're actually thinking, very nice, I'm happy, I'm enjoying. So, karanam gunasangasya sadasad yoni janmashu. In this way, due to association with the modes of nature, we meet with good and bad in many births. We have to take birth many times. So material nature is made up of three colors: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And when we contact these things, we become conditioned. So we were speaking about the nature of the conditioning, and then the characteristics and symptoms of these things. the destination, death, and the results of action in the modes. So all of these things were explained there in the 14th chapter. And then after that, then Arjuna had his question. He went on to question. Let's see here. Oh, just a minute. Okay. If therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. From Bhagavad Gita 337, purport. Right? So this is the Krishna conscious process, that we want to elevate ourselves to the mode of goodness. And as Prabhupada said, by the prescribed method of living and acting. So Krishna consciousness is a process. We have to practice. And we can save ourselves from the degradation of wrath. Right? From lust comes anger. Right? The lust in the heart can quickly becomes anger. And anger is one, lust, anger, and greed, gates to hell. So we want to develop that spiritual attachment. Here's another important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tadarajastamo bhava kama lobha dayaschaye cheta eter anabidam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 2nd Chapter, text number 19. And also quoted in Bhagavad Gita, chapters 7, verse number 1. Right? Tada rajas tamo bhava. Right? The modes of nature, rajas and tamas. So, when we are influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance, then these things will be there. Lust, desire, hankering. But when we are situated in the mode of goodness, then these things can be removed. How to do it? By engaging in loving service, taking up devotional service. And here's the key verse from the 14th chapter in reply to Arjuna's question about how can we transcend the modes of nature. So I think this may be one of your memorization slokas, which you should be learning. Certainly a very important verse. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Now we may be engaged in devotional service, but our devotional service is often not very steady. We do some devotion and then, we get caught up in the material energy. In other words, we don't really have this qualification of unfailing in all circumstances. That takes some time, takes some practice to come to that level, to keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness. But it's required. We have to constantly endeavor to become steady in our devotional service. And this is why we give so much importance to sadhana. You do sadhana every day. Every day, chant the holy name. We don't have days off in chanting the holy name. Every day we chant. Every day we should get up. Some days we get up earlier. The winter time, it's harder to get up. But still, we know we have to get up. We have to chant. We have to do our sadhana. We have to keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness. It's a challenge, but it's just practice. Once you become habituated to it, then you don't think about it. You do it without even thinking. Prabhupada said devotee is just like the threshing machine which they have for threshing the rice. He said, wherever you put the machine, it will do the same thing. He said, the same way with the devotee. Wherever you put the devotee will, his business is the same. Hearing, chanting, serving Krishna. Wherever he goes. Doesn't matter what time of the day, doesn't matter what the weather is like, what kind of, it's hot or it's cold, doesn't matter where he is, it's the same everywhere. The same activities, right? Here's a quote from Srila Prabhupada, from a lecture on the Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, texts 40 to 45, given in Los Angeles on December 13th, 1968. So Prabhupada said, this Krishna consciousness movement is directly offering the spiritual platform which is above the mode of goodness. The quality of goodness will automatically be there. Any person who is in Krishna consciousness, his quality of goodness, namely, he does not indulge in illicit sex life. He does not smoke even, or take tea or coffee even. He does not eat any forbidden foodstuff. Neither he takes part in unnecessary gambling. So good character is immediately there. Right? So Prabhupada is describing how to come to the mode of goodness. Of course, there are many aspects to the mode of goodness. In Prabhupada's time, there were no mobile phones. Fortunately, certainly Prabhupada would have had a lot to say about them. But in Prabhupada's time, there were no mobile phones. Actually, what happened, Prabhupada when he came to New York, at one point he had moved into this the apartment above 26 2nd Avenue, and he heard that very easily they could put a landline telephone into his apartment. So Prabhupada thought, what, really? He said, they can do it so quickly, and just in a few days they'll come and put the phone in. He said, in India, it would take so long before they could come and put a phone in. So Prabhupada said, yeah, let me get a phone. It will be good. I can use it sometimes and talk to people. So the devotees arranged for a phone for Prabhupada's room. and they put the phone in. But, people started calling, and, what did they want? Oh, Prabhupada, how are you? How are you today, Prabhupada? So many irrelevant, unimportant questions, just wasting Prabhupada's time. And after a few days of having the phone there, Prabhupada said, take this out. He said, it's just a disturbance. So, we see mobile phones like that, there are a lot of disturbance. Of course, we can't live without them. You have to have them. I was noticing there was one group of students somewhere, and they were having some discussion with the teacher, and everybody had the mobile phone. Everyone in the class, all the students, they all had the mobile phone. There was a group. They'd made a group for the class. And all the information for the class was coming through a mobile phone. Of course, you cannot live without them today. And we have to learn to live with them without being too much affected by them. We do want to cultivate the quality of goodness, so we have to be cautious. Now, can you think of some other ways in which Prabhupada also showed us the mode of goodness? Anyone?
Yes, Maharaj. Like pastime of a tea. When his wife sold his Bhagavad Gita just for a tea, and Prabhupada chose that to leave this thing, but so I think that pastime help us to remember, which is mentioned here, forbidden foodstuffs and even take tea or coffee.
Yes, Prabhupada's wife, sometimes she would take tea. And he also worried that one time his books went missing, and he thought maybe his wife had taken them and sold them to go and buy tea biscuits. And so anyway, at one point Prabhupada even came to a climax, and Prabhupada said to his wife, do you want tea or me? And his wife said, tea or you? I think I'd rather have tea. So Prabhupada said, oh, all right. So that was an indication for Prabhupada to leave home. So he got out of the house, he went to Vrindavan, he stayed in Vrindavan, the Vanaprastha. And then later on he took sannyas. Okay. Anybody else? Anyone have any other pastimes about Srila Prabhupada? How he showed us the mode of goodness? Well, I'll tell you some. That Srila Prabhupada, he would keep a note of his own expenses, and he would write everything down. How much he spent for the rickshaw, how much he spent for the train fare, how much he bought, how much he spent for some food. He would write it all down, and sometimes he didn't have any proper paper. He would take an envelope, and he would open the envelope and unfold the envelope, and then he would write everything on the envelope. And he was very economical. He did not waste anything. He did not like things like, people had these electric razors, electric shaver for shaving the face. Prabhupada said, this is stupid, what is this? He did not like these kind of things. We should do these things ourselves. Shaving the face is required, but you don't need a machine to do it. And even in Vrindavan in the winter time, he would collect the water from the Yamuna, and then he would bring the water, he'd bring a bucket of water, and he would leave it in the sun, and he would let the sun heat the water. And then that way, after the water had become a little warm by the sun, then he would take his bath. Then this way he was showing, the mode of goodness, simple living and high thinking. Another time in Bhubaneswar, Prabhupada had been given some land there. Now we have our temple there. Anyway, in the beginning, the land was in a remote part of Bhubaneswar. Now it's a very congested part. But initially it was a very remote part. And the devotee living there, His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, he had been initiated by Prabhupada as a sannyasi, and he had built a couple of mud huts. He'd built some mud huts there, he'd just made from some mud. It wasn't bricks or anything, it was just some mud. And Prabhupada was in one, and he lived in the other. Gaur Govinda Maharaj lived in the other. And Prabhupada showed the devotee, there was this one American devotee, and Prabhupada he told him to stay there and help Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And so Prabhupada showed this devotee, he said, you don't need to buy soap here. He said, you just simply, when you take your bath, you take the earth from the soil, and you use the earth from the soil and you rub it on your body. He said, the earth here, the soil here is so nice. He said, it has all nice qualities. It will be very good for your skin. If you rub this earth on your body, you don't need to buy these things like soap, We waste our money on these things, soaps. You get perfume soaps and so many things. Anyway, Prabhupada was showing the devotee, take the earth and you rub the soil on your body. I said, will keep you healthy. It's a very nice and natural way to live. And then Prabhupada also, for cleaning teeth, he liked to use a twig. And we would often have to go and get Prabhupada some eucalyptus twig so he could use it to clean his teeth. And he would do it every day. He would use the twig, chew the twig, and in this way he would clean his teeth. He didn't like to use things like toothpaste and all these different modern things which we are accustomed to. Those were not for Prabhupada. He liked simple living and high thinking. So that is the nature of goodness, simple living and high thinking. So I would like to hear from you, what could you do to help you cultivate more the mode of goodness? How could you adjust your life to help to improve the quality of goodness? Maybe we can hear from some devotees. Just tell me one thing you would like to do which would help you to become more in the mode of goodness.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I
Yes?
would like to mention one thing, like I'll try my best to become regulated, as I'm not so much sincere to make myself regulated, like by sleeping early in the morning, not wasting time on the mobile phone. So I will add this thing to help myself to come into the mode of goodness.
So how are you going to do it? How are you going to become more regulated? You would like to do it. So
Yes.
how are you going to do it?
One
What
thing I'll do it, Maharaj. Like, as you mentioned yesterday, that even in our Shastras, it is mentioned that in the evening time we should not eat that much heavy or grains. And I like to eat heavy in the night. Not usually, but not always, but usually I do it. So I'll try my best to not eat heavy food in the night so that I can wake up early in the morning. So this one thing I can maybe to make myself regulated. And regarding phone, I'll try my best to like to do other things like reading some books or that I will think, Maharaj.
do you turn off your phone at night?
Yes, not turn off, but I just keep aside, not turn off. But yes, I'll do that. I can put it on a flight mode, or maybe I can turn off the internet because usually internet attracts us more. So this I can do. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's nice. Someone else there? Anybody else? You can tell me what you could do to help you to come more in the mode of goodness.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes?
As far as I have been noticing, it's like I usually find myself doing the things that are usually not important, that actually makes me waste my time, and I don't complete the things that are supposed to be completed. So I think I better manage my time more nicely and do the important things first rather than doing the mundane things that are not necessary.
Okay, how are you going to do that?
Make a proper schedule, maybe.
Yes, that's a good idea. It's one thing you could do. Have a schedule. At least within your mind, even if you don't write it out. Or you could write it out, you could post it up even, stick it on your door to remind you.
Yeah, could do that possibly.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, one more?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I would say that in my wardrobe, like there are so many clothes that I'm not wearing. So I would give it to those people who really needs them, and I would keep myself like very limited that how much I need. I would be like just keep those clothes that which I'm wearing, not excess. So I can do this.
What is that? You have a lot of what?
Lot of clothes in my wardrobe, so I could give them to the needy persons that I'm not wearing or that are
Oh,
like.
yeah, that's very nice. That's a good idea. Yes, that's a very nice way to go cultivate the mode of goodness, because a lot of us, we do have that tendency, to accumulate, right? In the nectar of instruction, Rupa Goswami begins, atyahara, overeating and over collecting. And this is a consumer society, most of the world, it's consumer society. We collect a lot of things, we accumulate a lot. One couple I met, they were telling me, they said when they first came to Krishna consciousness, it gave away everything they had. They got rid of everything because they're becoming devotees, and they were becoming like full-time devotees. So they got rid of all of their things which they had, and they moved into the temple, and they became like very active temple. Later on, course of time, they moved out of the temple, and they were still devotees, but they said, we started to accumulate more and more things, different devotee paraphernalia. And of course, We have a lot of books, and sometimes the books, we've never even opened them. We get so many books, we get so many clothes, we get, especially if you have deities, you have a lot of things for the deities, so many outfits for the deities and the different jewelry for the deities. Oh, and we accumulate more and more. And if you're a cook, then you have so many different spices and different pots and pieces of this and pieces of that. This vegetable, this fruit, that fruit. Oh, and so many things. I know there was this one woman, she had gone to India and came back, and her fridge was full with so many different prasadam. Mahaprasadam from this temple, Mahaprasadam from that temple, months old. And she was keeping it in her fridge. Fridge was full. So these kind of things, accumulating, we do have that tendency to accumulate more and more, much more than we actually need. And you have things maybe from years ago, and we were thinking they were so important, and then some years later you find them, you think, oh my God, this is still here, this has been around a long time. And then you realize how useless it is. Sometimes you put things in the corner, you put things away, and you forget about them. You just keep, and then years later you uncover them, and they're still there. Oh my goodness. We have to be careful. We do have that problem, accumulating things. So it is nice to be a little detached and to be able to give things away, give things to others. And Prabhupada would often also do that too. People would give things to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would accept them, and sometimes he would just leave them there on the table. On his table, he'd just go away, go off traveling, and he'd just leave something he thought maybe not so useful. He'd just leave it on the table. Someone else could take it. All right, very nice points. So we do have to be cautious about cultivating the mode of goodness. And some more quotes from Prabhupada. This from the 14th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, text 16, purport. Save humanity from the greatest danger. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by the modes of passion and ignorance. It is a very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save humanity from the greatest danger. And then education for developing the mode of goodness. Because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. This is there's a bit more to this one, let me see. Continuing. Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is a possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. So this very nice. It's certainly a fact that people in general are not educated about what is proper and what's not. people were brought up eating meat. And they say, well, I didn't know, nobody ever told me. They never heard it before. They were just brought up with it. And then without thinking about it, they took part in these things. Everybody's eating it, and then it's similar with things like alcohol and cigarettes. People have all these habits. And it's okay, everybody does it. So education, so not only things like meat eating, but even things like abortion. I've had ladies tell me that, I didn't know it was wrong to have an abortion. I didn't know. And some women, sometimes they've had several abortions. Not only in China, but also in India, in America, everywhere it goes on. One of my friends, his wife was pregnant, and he took her to the hospital, and the doctor was asking, there were so many people sitting there, he asked, do you want abortion? And everyone was yes, they wanted abortion. He was the only one, he and his wife, they were the only one who wanted to have the child. So, people are just not educated to understand what is proper and what is not. So these habits are so common. Such a crazy world we're living in. Okay, so here you can see something of what we've been covering in this first lesson. We went through we're going to go over it again. I want to go over 13 again, more with you, 13 and 14. And we've been talking about preaching application. We explained the entanglement of the living entity in the modes of nature with reference to Bhagavad Gita 13:20 to 23. So that was 22 was Karanam Guna Sangasha. Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhongte Prakriti Jangunai. Karanam Guna Sangasha Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. The living entity, due to his association with the modes of nature, he takes birth in these different conditions. And in this way he's entangled in the modes of nature. To get free, there has to be somebody who is not under the modes to help us to get out. And we presented an overview of the conditioning of the three modes of nature upon a living entity, with reference to chapter 14. The conditioning, the modes of nature, right? Goodness conditions as to happiness and knowledge. Passion conditions as to ignorant, to material desires and intense endeavor and activities. And ignorance conditions as to laziness, sleep, and everything, madness. Everything is the opposite of the mode of goodness. And then how to transcend the modes of nature with reference to Bhagavad Gita 14:26. We have to engage in devotional service. We're talking about sadhana, morning program. Now, not everywhere do we have temples, and we can't expect everybody to be able to go to the morning program. But we have to do things on our own. Wherever we are, wherever you happen to be, you can make some attempt to do the things which they do in the temple. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he said, well, I never lived in the temple. But he said, I would do everything on my own at home. He would do a little arti, he would worship Tulsi, he would chant, and he would read Shastra, and sometimes even have programs. So in this way we can transcend the modes. Everything we eat, we offer it to Krishna, and every day we make a program to hear and chant. Just like today is Ekadasi. So Ekadasi is a day where we want to give more attention to hearing and chanting. Ekadasi is a day in which we want to concentrate more on our devotional activities. Fasting is not the main thing. What is important is our application to hear and chant. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati instructed his devotees. They were all fasting, and an invitation came for a program. And they were telling the people who wanted the program, they said, oh, we're all fasting today, we can't come. But when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada heard, he said, cook prasadam, all of you take prasadam and go for the program. So he didn't think fasting is very important. More important, preaching. So that's the real Ekadasi. And many centers now, we do make arrangements to have programs on Ekadasi. They'll have more kirtan, more chanting, more opportunity for devotees to increase their hearing and chanting. All right? And then personal application. We talked about ways we are personally influenced by passion and ignorance. Particularly yesterday, we were having different groups, and we heard from each group different types, different ways in which people are influenced by passion and ignorance. Some people were in their studies, they were not so active until just before the exam, and some people, they were very much concerned with their mobile phone. They wanted to have a good quality mobile phone, and at the same time they weren't caring about what they had. So these are ways in which modes of passion and ignorance influence us. And today we've been talking about some practical ways we can develop the mode of goodness. Right? Some practical ways we can do. We can look at in our room, at our habitat, and you can consider, what do you actually need and what do you not need? And if we have more than we actually need, then we can distribute it. We can give it to other people. Let people have, they can use it. We don't want to over-accumulate. We want to keep ourselves simple. All right, and then mood and mission, statements from Prabhupada's purports which reflect his mission. So I haven't come across that. We have to look for that, and that will take some time. Okay. Here's another quote from Prabhupada. 14th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, text 1, purport. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attain perfection and transfer to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained. And knowing this, many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. All right, so we want to go back now to the 13th chapter, which is also part of this first lesson. There's 2 chapters included in this lesson. Just want to go over some of the main points of each of this the chapter, because it's very easy to forget things, right? So first chapter, maybe if you have a piece of paper, you can write down the answers. I will tell you some questions and you can answer them. Write down your answers just to see. You can close your book, right, and see if you can remember these things, because this will make it easy. If you learn it now, then it's easier when they have the test, because you all have to get a test to do the Bhakti Shastri. Right? Have you done tests for the other units? Okay. So what the first thing, Arjuna asks about 6 things. What are those six things? You can write them down. And then Krishna says, what is knowledge? How do we, what is the definition of knowledge? What should we know about to say this is knowledge? What is knowledge? And then the next question was, Prabhupada gives an analogy comparing the soul and the super soul. What was that analogy? And then there were 5 different kinds of Brahman, different coverings of Brahman. 5. Can you name them? all these things, this is all memory work. You have to just simply remember them. If you have. And then the next question, what are the 24 elements of the field of activities? Can you list them, all 24 elements of the field of activities?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, Hare
I just,
Krishna.
Maharaj, I just have a request. I mean, maybe you can make that they may not use Chat GPT to find the answers.
Yeah, we hope you won't use chat to find the answer. You know, we want you to learn these things, and then it will make it easy. We want you all to pass the exam. You see, so if we learn them now, if the things you don't know, okay, so you don't know them, so you learn them now. But these are things you should know. Okay, if you finish them, next thing we want to know about is what are the 6 changes of the body? 6 changes the body goes through. Okay, and then the last question, what are the 2 names for the super soul which are given there? The super soul is described in the 13th chapter, and there's 2 names there which are used to describe the activities of the super soul. It's in text, actually, it's in text 23. All right, so from the beginning, right, the first question, what were the 6 things Arjuna wanted to know about? Yeah, I think you would all get that pretty easy. You can put Sanskrit or English.
May I, Maharaj?
Yeah?
Prakriti, Purusha, the field, the knower of the field, the knowledge, and the object of the knowledge.
Okay. Object of knowledge. Purusha, Prakriti. And then?
The field.
The what?
Field.
Field of activities. Yeah. And
and knowledge of the field. Knower
the
of the field.
knower of the field, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then
Knowledge.
mm-hmm.
And the last one is the object of knowledge.
Okay, good. Yes. And then next question, yeah. How did we define knowledge?
Can I, Maharaj?
Yes.
Knowledge is who knows about the individual soul and the super soul and our own body.
Yeah, the field of activities, right? We can say Prakriti, Purusha, and Ishvara. Right? That is real knowledge. To know about the soul and the super soul and the material nature or the field of activities. One who knows these things, he's really not intelligent, knowledgeable person. One who doesn't know these things, then doesn't know anything. He's a foolish person. Right? And then, next question was?
The analogy. The analogy compare the soul and the super soul. Which Prabhupada.
What was the analogy?
May I, Maharaj?
Yeah?
The farmer and the king.
Mm-hmm.
The
Tell me
farmer,
more.
yeah, the farmer only knows about his own field, but the king knows about every field in his kingdom.
Yeah, very good. Yes, right. That's the example. That's how we can understand, how we can present to people. We know about our own happiness and distress. But Krishna knows about everyone's happiness and distress because he's in everyone's heart. I know my happiness and distress, you know yours, but we don't know about each other's. But Krishna knows about everyone because he's omnipresent, he's the super soul in the heart of everyone. And so this example is very appropriate. Good. All right, and then we had the example about 5 kinds of Brahman. What were they?
Maharaj, it was Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya.
Oh, yes, very good. Right. Annamaya. Prabhupada gives the example about little baby, small baby crying. The only thing he can understand is food. You know, babies, when they're born, all they do is, when they open, they just want food, and then they sleep. And when they open their eyes again, they want more food, and then they sleep. So there's Annamaya, food, just only conscious of food. It's the lowest level of consciousness. So then Annamaya, and then Pranamaya, conscious about life symptoms. So a little higher consciousness than just food, actually aware about moving, different activities. So pranamaya, difference in life, the living entities, small creatures, they're afraid of big creatures, little birds that fly away if the dog comes. So like that, pranamaya. And then jnanamaya, knowledge. living entities start to cultivate some desire, interest in different things. So these are all on the very low-level material platform, conditioned life. But then there's Vijnana Maya, some realization. We start to realize the difference between different forms of life, and we think more about the purpose of our existence and why I'm here, where I'm going. You have some realization about things. So Vijnanamaya. And then Anandamaya is the Supreme Lord, when we come to know the Lord. So 5 different levels of Brahman. All right? And then the next question was what?
What are the 24 elements of the field of activity?
Oh, okay. Have you got that?
No, Prabhu.
Yes.
No? Oh, really? You didn't
May
want
I?
that?
Yes. May I?
Yes. Yes.
5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Then 5
Okay.
senses: eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue. 5 sense objects: sound, touch, taste, smell, form. Then mind, false ego, consciousness, intelligence. Then 5 working senses: hands, legs, genitals, excretory organs, speech. 24.
Well, very good. Yes. Yeah. Very nice. You've learned very well. 24 24 things. So that's the body. The field of activity is described in that way, in the material body. So both the gross and the subtle body are there in the field of activity. All right. And then, after that, then, what did we talk?
6
6
transformation
changes
of
of body.
Oh, the changes of the body, yeah. Have you got that?
Yes, Maharaj.
Maharaj, can I?
Yes.
6 changes of the body is first grow, then stay, produce byproduct, then begins to decay, and last vanish.
How many is that?
Sorry, I lost the first one, body is born.
It takes
Yes, right.
birth.
You missed the first one, right? Born, take birth, yeah. First one, take birth, and then begins to grow, and then maintains for some time, and then produce some byproducts, and then dwindle, and finally death. So all living entities, they go through these different stages in life. Some creatures, of course, their life is only a few hours or a few seconds even. But in the course of even a short time, they go through all of these things. Sometimes we would see so many creatures around the light, and in the morning they'll all be dead. But in the course of that one night, they went through the whole life. They grew, they maintained, they had some byproduct, then they dwindle and die. And our duration of life is like that. We have a short life, Kali Yuga. We don't live very long. Higher planets, they live longer. But all temporary. Even the demigods, they also worry about old age and disease. Brahma's worried The end of life will come, and he has to prepare to leave everything. So 6 different changes are there. Okay. And then the last question about the super soul.
Bhokta and Bhukta. Bhokta and Bhukta.
Oh, Bhukta and Bhokta.
The sustainer or the maintainer.
Yes, right. Bhukta is
The maintainer. No, the sustainer.
and
We are the
Bhokta.
Bhokta. Bhokta means the maintainer.
And Bhokta is the maintainer, and Bhukta.
The sustainer.
Huh?
The sustainer.
The sustainer.
Bhukta is for living entities, the one who's maintained.
Yes. Bhokta is for the living entities. Eh? What's for the Lord? What's for the super soul?
Paramatma and Bhukta.
Paramatma and Bhukta.
Okay. So there are two terms used at the beginning of the verse, which are important, often mentioned, describing the position of the super soul. Right? What are they? In text 23, you can look in the Sanskrit.
Anumanta and Upadrashta.
Upadrashta and Anumanta. Yes, Upadrashta and Anumanta. Upadrashta meaning?
Overseer.
The overseer. And Anumanta?
Permitter.
Permitter. Or yeah, right. Maintainer. Huh? Permitter. Upadrashta, the overseer, and Anumanta, the maintainer. That's the position of the super soul. He's the witness to all the activities, and he's sanctioning the acts of the different living entities. Of course, he will be telling us, yeah, you should not do this is not good, don't do it. But we don't like to listen. We don't like to listen. He will tell us, oh, it's not good, you'll get trouble, it will bring you problems. We don't listen. We go ahead and do it anyway. So, the super soul in the heart has a difficult job trying to guide everyone, every living entity, trying to bring us out of our material conditioned existence and to bring us to the higher platform, Krishna consciousness. Super soul is here with us in the material world. In the spiritual world, there's no super soul because Krishna's there and externally. He's not in the heart. He's manifest. He's manifest there in the spiritual world. But to get back to the spiritual world, we have to surrender to the super soul. We have to be guided by the super soul, and the external manifestation of the super soul is there in the form of the spiritual teachers. That the spiritual teachers, they can tell us what we need to do to surrender, to help us to get out of this material world. All right, so we're learning about the modes of nature. Chapter 14 went on to describe the material nature, the three modes, and how they bind. So, Srila Prabhupada wants us to cultivate the mode of goodness. He liked to see the devotees in Krishna consciousness. One devotee was writing an essay, and he wrote an essay about how devotee wants to be transcendental. And Prabhupada said, yeah, generally, devotee wants to be in the mode of goodness. And transcendental, that will come just by cultivating the mode of goodness. The more we can be fixed in the mode of goodness, then we can come to that transcendental platform. If we have to come up from the mode of ignorance, then it's a big jump up to come up to the transcendental level. Because we're there in the bottom, in the mode of ignorance, bad habits, lazy, dirty, so many different things we're not doing properly. We're in the mode of ignorance. And to just immediately come up to the transcendental level, that is very difficult to do. So we have to come up, we should bring ourselves up to the mode of goodness. Then from the mode of goodness, then we can think about coming to the transcendental level, once we're situated in the mode of goodness. So Srimad Bhagavatam says like that, thus established in the mode of goodness, the man gains liberation from material association and comes to know scientifically the personality of Godhead. So Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, is describing about the living entity, how he has to come out of the lower modes, right? The modes of passion and ignorance, conditioning. And it's not that we can immediately get relief from these things, because we are nitya baddha, we're eternally conditioned souls. We've been in the material world for a very long time. So it takes time for us to get out of that conditioning. Of course, many of you, you're born in Hindu families, so it's a bit better for you in some ways. In some ways it's better, because at least you're familiar with the culture, or you're brought up in the culture. So it's somewhat easier. People like myself, coming from the Western world, we didn't have that opportunity, so we didn't get that education. So we had a late start. But better late than never. And we often see people who are brought up in the culture, sometimes they don't take advantage. And Lord Krishna speaks about them in the Bhagavad Gita. He describes 4 kinds of people who never surrendered to him. Do you remember? You studied that? Who are the 4 kinds of people who never surrender?
Who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind,
Who are the professed atheists,
Yes.
and
Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradama.
and
Maya.
speculators.
Huh?
And the deluded speculators?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
The last one is maybe the deluded speculators.
Okay, knowledge stolen. Maya aparita jnanam asuram bhavam ashrita. 4 kinds of people, they're all duskritina. They don't have a lot of punya, they have a lack of piety. And so they're described, first of all, the mudha, a donkey-like person, foolish person, working hard all day. And then naradama, the lowest of men. Lowest of men. We get people like, they're born in good families, with culture, and they had good education, but they don't take advantage. They don't take advantage. They get lost in material. They think, oh, it's not important. It doesn't matter. Oh, it's old-fashioned. Oh, like that. This is Naradama. They may be born in Brahmanical families, but they don't take advantage of the culture. And they leave it all behind, and they get caught up in material life. So Naradama. And then Maya aparita jnana, one whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and asuram bhavam ashrita, the people who are atheistic or offensive to the Lord. So these 4 kinds of people, they never surrender to Krishna. And so you get people like that, and they're maybe in the mode of goodness, they may be vegetarian even, but they have no devotion, never offer anything. Actually, one time in Los Angeles, devotees arranged a program. They wanted Prabhupada to go to a vegetarian society and give a talk. And Prabhupada said, why? He said, I'm not going to go to a vegetarian society. He said, we're not interested in vegetarians. He said, we want people to take up devotion, genuine devotion. Just to be vegetarian, that's just something material. We're not just promoting vegetarianism. This is a spiritual movement. We want people to come to the spiritual platform. Of course, vegetarianism should be there. It's important for people. People should understand. Civilized people, they should be vegetarian. But, we don't make a point of preaching so much to these kind of people. So we want to understand the importance of Krishna consciousness. Coming to this so I was explaining, it's very difficult for people from the mode of ignorance to come up to the transcendental level. They have to come up gradually and become situated in the mode of goodness. Just like the people who come and live in the ashram, then they get a good training living in the ashram, waking up early in the morning and bathing and shaving their head and then like going to the morning program, all of these things, you see. Young girls like this, young ladies, we train them to tie their hair up, We don't like them to come with their hair hanging all over their shoulders. We'll get them to tie their hair up, just like the men. We have a shika, we tie it up. We don't have it hanging loose. No, this cultivating the mode of goodness. It's like that. It's a practice. We have to take it gradually and come up to the mode of goodness, and then from the mode of goodness we can come to the transcendental platform. Prabhupada told Giriraj Swami about chanting the holy name. This was Giriraj when he was still a brahmachari. Giriraj, at that time he was the temple president in the Juhu temple in Mumbai. He was a young American devotee, and he had graduated from college, and he was well educated. His father was a lawyer, and he'd also had a good education, but he didn't want to go and work for his father. Instead, he came and worked for Prabhupada. And at one point, his father tried to get him back, to take him back home to America. And he came to Prabhupada and he said to Prabhupada, "Okay, Swamiji, how much do you want? You've got my son here. I want to take him back. How much do I have to pay you to get him back?" And so Prabhupada said, "Bring Giriraj in here." So they brought Giriraj in the room. And then Prabhupada said to Giriraj, he said, "Your father wants to take you back. He wants you to go back to America." And Giriraj immediately said, "I will not go, Prabhupada. I don't want to go. I can't go back to that life." He said, "My mother and father, they're always fighting and quarreling with each other. And my sister, she's always going to parties and she's always late out at night with different men." He said, "I don't want to go back to that kind of life anymore." And so Prabhupada said to his father, he said, "What can I do? Your son doesn't want to go." So it's a nice example, because you get a taste for simple living, and it's much more satisfying than living with so much wealth and opulence. When you have a natural environment and you're living with people who are also similarly interested in cultivating spiritual life. Association is very important. We need to have that association. So here, we're using Zoom. We get some association. It's not the best, but it's something. We have to make the best of a bad bargain, Prabhupada says. So we're in different situations, and we make use of the technology to get some kind of association. And we have to take advantage of association. And we have to also try, whenever we can, to get the opportunity to get physical association. Because, just like some people are on Zoom and they don't put their camera on, so you can't see what they're doing, They're hiding. And sometimes we get people, they're on Zoom and they're smoking cigarettes, or there's something that, there may be, they're listening to the katha, but at the same time they're smoking a cigarette or drinking a cup of coffee or something. And so a devotee asked Prabhupada, he said, "What's better?" He said, "If I just sit and read the books, or if I'm with a devotee and they're talking to me?" And Prabhupada said, "It's better to be with the devotee." He said, "Because the devotee will get your full attention." He said, "You may sit and read the book, and for some time something goes in, but you don't give it a lot of attention. Something goes in, sometimes you're paying attention, sometimes you're not. And sometimes you're understanding, sometimes you're not." Prabhupada said, more important than just reading is to discuss and to explain to each other. He said that's more important than just simply reading. We may read things and we don't really understand anything about it. We just forget everything. So Prabhupada gave a lot of importance to devotees coming together and hearing and discussing with each other. And Prabhupada himself would be doing that all the time with devotees, all the time discussing with us. Just like here in Bhakti Shastri, you have to learn some slokas. And learning slokas is actually, it's a lot of trouble for some devotees, but it's actually very powerful. When we would walk with Prabhupada in the morning, Prabhupada would always be asking us, what is that sloka? Who knows that sloka? Prabhupada wanted to see that we're reading and that we're learning the different verses. He expected us to know these things. And you can hear Prabhupada's lectures. They're full of slokas. He's always quoting different slokas. So if we would be walking with Prabhupada, he would ask us. Another time, devotee was singing a song, Bengali bhajan, and Prabhupada asked him, do you know the meaning? He said, you sing the song, you have to know the meaning as well. You don't just sing the song and don't know the meaning. So important for us. He said, you don't get any benefit just from singing a song unless you know the meaning. So just like we sing, Guru Vastikam and Guru Vandanam, Gora Arti, these different songs. You may know the meaning, you may not. If you know the meaning, then it's more powerful, more meaningful. If you don't know the meaning, well, it's not very good. Prabhupada wanted us to know these things. And often people come and they'll be testing us. They will ask you, what is it? What is this? What are you singing? What is the meaning? So we have to know, we have to learn these things. And we have to work. We have to be on guard against the material energy. It's very easy. Somebody may be doing puja and they think, oh, I'm doing the puja. But you can be in the modes of nature also. You can be in the mode of passion. You can be in the mode of ignorance. You can be in the mode of goodness. It's not that everybody who's doing puja is transcendentally situated just because you're offering the arti. Right? Do you understand that? If somebody is doing puja, how could they be in the mode of ignorance? Can you tell me?
Maharaj, maybe by your thoughts.
By your thoughts?
Yes.
Well,
Like if I'm performing arti or puja, but my thoughts are somewhere else. So this way.
yeah, that's possible. By your thoughts, you could be in the mode of ignorance. What about actions in the mode of ignorance and you're doing puja? Is it possible? Well, you could wake up very late and you rush to go to arti. You rush, you have no clean cloth, you put on a dirty dhoti, you don't take bath, you don't even take time to put tilak on your body, and you go rushing off to do arti.
No Achaman.
Huh? No Akshman, yeah.
No.
You didn't do Akshman. You just go rushing off to do arti. And that's the mode of ignorance. Right?
I mean,
And the
Maharaj,
yeah?
these devotees in Pakistan, because they don't have like proper temples, so they do not have the opportunity to see what a tamasic puja is. In that sense, they
Okay.
are quite lucky.
Yeah. So we're telling you so that you can
Yeah,
look
because there's
out
no
for it.
big temples, so then nobody is rushing to, like be in hogging the show, to be in front of the deity, and get his photograph clicked by somebody like standing over there. When I am doing this arti, waving the chamar, you take the photograph. So those things they are not aware of yet, not contaminated.
Yeah, so the mode of ignorance there, dirty, not properly prepared for the arti. A mode of passion, the mode of passion, what would be the mode of passion in performing arti? I
Like
want you to...
time delay. For every
Huh?
day we delay the time.
Tell me again?
In the mode of the patient, like the time, like the time delay every day we said that we do it later, or something like that.
Well, the mode of passion, it could be done for name and fame. You want to get recognition. I want everybody to see me on the altar, I want people to see I'm a good devotee, I'm offering the arti. We don't really do it for the pleasure of Krishna, we just do it to get some name and fame for ourselves. So that's the mode of passion. Oh, there's a lot of people here today, I want everyone to see I'm doing arti. It could be like that. You want to get some recognition. That's the mode of passion. You want to be recognized by others. And what about the mode of goodness? What would be the mode of goodness? Desire in the mode of goodness in relation. Huh?
Clean. A person should be clean and pure if he's doing puja and arati.
Yes, but that's good. That's not a fault. I'm pointing.
Proud.
Yeah.
He can be proud of like making a good garlands and superiority complex.
Well, I thought that was more the mode of passion, being proud. But one thing which could be the mode of goodness is somebody's thinking, I want liberation. I want to get free of my sinful reactions and I want liberation. Just like in Kapila Muni's teachings in the third canto, it describes about devotional service in the modes. That even though we're doing devotional service, it can be in the modes of nature. If we do devotional service in an angry mood to harm others, that's very much in the mode of ignorance. And if we do devotional service to get some material position or some material recognition, that's the mode of passion. But the mode of goodness, we do devotional service and our purpose is not just for Krishna, but we're doing it to get rid of sinful reactions. We're doing it maybe so that we can get liberation from the material world. So that is not Krishna, it's not pure devotion. We want to cultivate pure devotion. Right? And what is the mood of pure devotion? Anya bilasita sunyam, jnana karma janavritam, right? No desire for fruitive activity or liberation. So if we're thinking, I want liberation, it's a material desire. That it's a mode of goodness, but it's not pure devotion. The pure devotion is we do it simply for the pleasure of Krishna. We just want to please Krishna. Of course, we have to come to that level. We're coming from the lower level. We're coming from passion or ignorance. We're coming up to the mode of goodness. We have to maintain there, come to the Shuddha Sattva, transcendental platform. So pure devotion is simply for the pleasure of Krishna. We're not thinking about our own self. We're just simply thinking about Lord Krishna. I'm doing this for Krishna. So when we dance in the kirtan, dancing in the kirtan, Prabhupada taught us to dance for the pleasure of Krishna, you know. But a lot of people, when they dance, you know, they look at me, I'm a great dancer, you know, look how good I dance. You know, we're not thinking that I'm dancing for Krishna. And see, these things happen. So we want to be careful about how the modes of nature, how in everything they can come in there. They come in there, all of our different activities. So, just because we're doing something like deity worship, it doesn't mean that we're transcendentally situated. It's an opportunity to be transcendentally situated. But we do have to be careful. Okay.
Maharaj,
Mm-hmm.
there is a question from a devotee. Yeah, so can I ask?
Okay.
So they are asking, like, in preaching, usually they ask people to become a vegetarian or to stop eating meat. So they are saying that, as you mentioned, that it is materialistic to make them vegetarian. So, but in preaching, we usually go and first ask them to become vegetarian. So, how can we see, like, in the situation? Is it wrong or good to say a person to become a vegetarian so that they can make advancement in Krishna consciousness?
Well, time, place, and circumstances, certainly, you know, in your particular place may be helpful to preach like that. But generally, you know, certainly when Prabhupada went to the West, when he went to the USA, he didn't use that approach. But certainly he cooked nicely for them. And Prabhupada would cook very nice prasadam, and nobody ever asks, where's the meat? You know, when you've got nice chapati and sabji and nice, so many things Prabhupada was making, you know. I mean, devotees were just bliss, they were in bliss just having the roti. Just to have rotis, you know, it's such a wonderful thing. After being brought up in Western culture, and we eat potatoes every day, you know, and pieces of bread, you know, moldy bread. But Prabhupada would teach people to make chapatis with a little bit of ghee on the chapati, and devotees would just be in ecstasy, you know. We would just love these things. And dal, just to have some dal is so tasty and so nourishing and energy, you know. Devotees were, it's so satisfying. You know, we never ever thought, where's the meat? Because the prasadam itself, although the prasadam was simple, but it was so much better than anything we'd ever had before. So we didn't so much talk to people about becoming vegetarian, but it was just, you know, just people could just understand, you know, that, wow, who wants meat when you can have nice chapatis and dal and stuff? You know, who wants to eat the non-veg? Nobody. You know, we never thought about it. We were so happy. And we were happy to chant Hare Krishna and to hear the philosophy as well. There's no question about just vegetarian, I mean, people could really go off track if you make that like the beginning of the preaching, then people can, it's difficult for them to get back on track again. Because they think, well, I'm a vegetarian, you never told me I had to do all this. You never told me I had to chant Hare Krishna. Never told me I had to read Bhagavad Gita. They just thought, I thought it's just being a vegetarian. There's a lot of vegetarians around, but they're not devotees. Nowadays you've got this vegan movement as well. They're also vegetarian, but they drink, they smoke, and they do all kinds of other bad things. They may be vegetarian, but they do a lot. They're not. They do a lot of other sinful things. So we're not interested in just vegetarianism, really. We want people to understand. Well, Prabhupada actually said, Krishna consciousness begins when they start to chant. When they start to chant the Maha Mantra. When they chant the Hare Krishna mantra, that's the beginning of their Krishna consciousness. So we try to get people into chanting Hare Krishna. We want them to get a taste for the holy name, a taste for chanting. That's very important. Prasadam, that's easy for people to get a taste for prasadam. But they should get a taste for the holy name. Then they can actually really come into Krishna consciousness. So you have to be a little careful about, just preaching to people about vegetarianism. They may think we're a vegetarian society. No, we want Krishna consciousness, What's the good just to be vegetarian? Even the monkeys can be vegetarian. But they're very sinful also. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, so then we'll finish here. And so then no more class until next Monday. Right? So next Monday we're going to go on to lesson number 2. We will hear chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Pause.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Always
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai. Chalo, chalo.